Hey there, welcome to this episode, and today I want to talk about end snap and how we can use that to create perfect recorded loops. Now, what I mean by that is that we don't have to do any trimming of starting or end points. We're going to record it to our BPM and it's going to make a perfect loop for us. Now, using end snap is a really good way of doing this, and I'll talk you through as we go. So we can do in record mode or resample mode, depends on what you're doing. Record if you're going to bring, an external instrument in, a guitar or something like that. In my case, I have 3 drum sounds, and I'm going to make another drum loop, and I want to resample that to another pad. So I'm going to choose resample here. Now you'll hear my metronome kick off, so I'm just going to turn that off for a second. First, we want to go into record settings, and I want to choose a BPM for what I want to play along to. So here we're going to go with 82 BPM. Now you need to set some kind of BPM and have obviously your metronome that you can play along to, because the end snap function is using that internal clock, that internal BPM, to try and calculate where the end point should be. So you're going to have to play along to something. So we can do that. With Control 2, I can choose external in if I was doing like a guitar thing or whatever it is. But here I'm going to do mix because I'm recording, the internal sounds. Everything else is pretty much good to go. We can exit this menu. In order to enable end snap, we do start and end here, and you'll see it turn off and on. Obviously, we're going to leave that on. The next thing I'm going to do is shift and pad 10 with count in, and I'm going to set this to count in wait. And the reason I'm doing that is because I don't want it to start recording anything until it receives an input signal. So if you were doing a guitar loop, it's going to wait for your first note of your guitar. As soon as it receives audio, it's going to start recording. When I'm here, it's going to wait, and it's going to wait for me to press my first pad of my drum loop, then it's going to start recording. That way we know we're not getting any dead space at the beginning of our loop, and hopefully the end snap is going to take care of the rest. Now, before I start my metronome ticking away here, if we take a look, I've got 3 drum sounds. You can hear those there. When I play my loop, let's say I do 2 bars here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play 2 bars, and as it comes to the 3rd bar, I'm going to keep that timing of the drum loop like I was playing, but rather than coming back and pressing my kick drum again to start things off, I'm going to use that timing to press resample and end the recording, and I usually get very good results that way. So just watch my fingers as I'm doing that. Now the next thing, of course, let's turn our metronome on and choose a destination pad. In this case, let's just choose 4. It's now waiting for me, so let's record something very simple. And you will notice there that rather than looping around and coming back to press pad 1, I actually use the timing of that to press resample. What I find is that this end snap mode can be a little finicky sometimes, and if you just happen to miss it with your timing, it tries to record like the next bar a little bit and you end up without a perfect loop. So try and keep that in mind. If you know your loop, you know the way that you can kind of come around with the timing. Might be a little bit more difficult if you're doing something with like a guitar, but try and keep that, as close as you can to sort of the end timing of the loop. So now that we've done that, if we go to pad 4 here, let's turn gate off, let's turn loop on, and go to the start and end window so we can see our drums here. And hopefully now when we play this, we will have a perfect recorded loop. And there we go. As simple as that. So a really handy function there, much cleaner than when I showed you kind of the resampling overview video. Now that was very deliberate because I didn't set a BPM there. I wanted to just be kind of free with my drums, and I knew I was going to have to go through that manual step of finding the endpoints and then recalculating the BPM. But if you want to make very nice, complete whole loops here without trimming anything, then end snap is the way to go. Take care, and I'll see you in the next episode.